Alright, y'all, part two. So, what data one I got done so far? Got the, where's that thing at? Driver's side lower control arm replaced, and strut with spring. So I had to create a bomb with that. So that's on, and there's your new lower control arm. So it's easy. I mean, if you got the tools, yeah, it can be a pain in the butt. But at the same time, let's see. So first thing, I gotta tighten that up. Let me tighten that up. Alright, got that tight. Alright, so what I done first was the lower control arm. I used my bottle jack and obviously the floor jack to hold the car up. But got my bottle jack underneath right here and put some up pressure, just a little bit of up pressure on it. I went ahead and undone the 3 bolts that are in here. I mean, there's one here, here, and here. Just pop these covers off and you got them. It's the 3 bolts that go on top of your strut right here. So, got those 3 nuts off, and then I came down here and took these 2 big bolts out, and then just lowered, or let the jack down, and just undid the ABS. I went ahead and took the sensor out of the hub and off the strut, and then just laid it over to the side. That way I didn't damage it or anything. Then you got your brake line bolt bracket here. Once you get those off, then you get your sway bar in link. On the back side back here, there's a nut that you can grab on with. I use my good adjustable wrench there, and then use the impact to zip off that nut. And then once that was off, went ahead and just let it, lower it down and just pull it out. So these only go in one way. I did figure that out because it took me, it was a little bit of a pain in the butt. But I rested the bottom of the strut onto the CV axle and then used the jack to hold it up while I could spin it around up there to get the holes lined up. Once I got them lined up, jacked it up into place and went ahead and tightened down the bolts or the nuts up there. Then I came down here, let it back down, put these big bolts back in, and there you have it. Just put everything back the way it came out. So in the lower control arm, I done it with the strut attached. So went ahead and undone. So you got a bolt there and one bolt there, and then you got your castle nut in here. I got all three bolts out. Well, both bolts and the nut off. And I just took a hammer and just, started smacking on the hub face where the taper is, the female end, and it popped out. It wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad to take off. Once I got it out of the hub assembly, it just pretty much just eased out. I had to use a little bit of my prop bar to kind of pry out on that one there. So once it comes out easy, and it didn't really fight that hard. Honestly, it's the easiest lower control arm I've ever changed. So kudos to Honda on that. Let's see what else. So ground to the other side. Show you what I had to do there. So I got some photos. I'll insert those. But there's my tensioner. As you can tell, one bolt doesn't look like the other, which is that one there, because it is a 1/4-20, and that one here is still your metric M8, I think it is. So like I said, the previous guy, he broke the studs off, or broke the bolts off into the block, and it took an act of God to get them off, or get them out. So what I had to do I had to buy me some carbide drill bits. So there you are right there for your... Oh my gosh, I hate this camera sometimes. So I bought some 1/8 inch solid carbide drill bits. So I got them, I actually bought them on Amazon. They're a decent bit, honestly. They are brittle, so they do not like angles. So if you can get the drill straight as you can, that'd be, that's the ticket. But here's the hard specs on them right here. So for you machinist guys out there. But those are solid carbide drill bits. I was gonna get some carbide tipped drill bits, but I had to wait a week to get them because nobody seemed to have any in stock. So I found those on Amazon and they worked perfect for what I needed. So that bottom one, like I said, I ended up drilling it all the way through and then just tapping it with the 1/4-20 tap, and then just found me a bolt. I had to stack some washers because I didn't have a short enough bolt that I wanted to use. I'll probably end up finding one shorter than that. But and then the original bolt, I ended up drilling it out and putting it, getting the factory bolt back in there. I drilled it and I nailed in a, where's it at? Right here. So I drilled it with 1/8 inch and I drove a T20 in it. Where is, I gotta find that stud I pulled out. There it is. So right here. So I ended up drilling in it. That's probably not going to focus on that. Come on now. There we go. So drilled inside of it and drove that T20 Torx in it and then slowly backed it out. And it came out. So I got lucky on that top hole. The bottom hole, I could not, for the love of everything, get it to drill right. So I messed with that bottom bolt so much, it pretty much destroyed it, where I could get the drill bit on it, but I couldn't get it centered. So I just had to drill what I had and tapped it. So, but either way, it lines up good. I did fit the water pump back up there. I did get the water pump off, as you can tell. So I did put the water pump back on with the tensioner, and I just sat it up there. I didn't completely bolt it in, but the angle that is at, it'll work for it. So, and again down here with this, the tensioner, like I said, the actual ear where the tensioner pushes on is broke off, and you see how wore in that is too. So it was due. I say this thing was honestly due for a good service. So, like I said, once all that gets here, I'll drop all that in and pretty much be done with the timing part of it. Let's see. So also, to drop that down enough to where you can see how recessed that is. So right here is pretty much level with the crankshaft. So with the engine jacked up, you cannot get to that at all. There's no daggone way. So you have to drop the K-member down. So this main bolt here, there's one on every 4 corners around the engine. So this is what holds your engine up. In all reality, this is what holds your engine up. You get this bolt off, these brackets. There's some back here as well. And same thing like this on the other side, and same thing like this on that side. So I ended up loosening the driver's side 2 bolts, and then I completely removed this side, and it let the engine down to where I could get to both bolts through the fender, or through the well right here. So it worked out. I was very, very happy about that. So the other thing that I found as well that I didn't really like was, so he sent me a new power steering hose. He sent me a new power steering hose right there, and he said he just hadn't put it on. So when I had the K-member down and everything, I looked at that. I was like, well, maybe I should change the power steering hose while I'm here. just for, I got everything dropped down. It's kind of easy to get to. And hang on, let me get over there. You can see that right there. But that is broken. That is broken. And there's no way I'm gonna. So that's how. Crap. So that's really where all this power steering fluid went. So the rack and pinion itself is what's broke. So I did find that, and I'm gonna have to take a hard pass on that. I don't know. I've never, to be honest, I've never replaced a rack and pinion on a front wheel drive vehicle. So and just looking at it the way it, when I was underneath, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna take a pass on that. I'll fix everything else on here. I'll even replace it. Well, if I replace the engine, I can get to that thing really easy. But I'm just not gonna do it with the way it sits. So like I said, I'll fix everything else. I'm gonna go ahead and do front brakes and rotors on here too. Got a set of lug nuts coming for all 4 wheels. I got one stud for the rear. Man, I swear Honda puts their VIN everywhere. Well, other car manufacturers do too, but so you see these marks right here, and a little bit right there. It comes down to the side right here, and these little scratches all pretty much just about all the way down to the back. So I can't remember what he said he hit, but he hit something, and it ended up cracking a wheel, the front wheel, but it didn't break anything else. I don't see anything bent, broken, missing. That's anything that needs to be here. So he told me he had hit something. I can't remember what he said it was, but I feel like that's what, when it broke the wheel, that's what cracked the I feel like that's what broke the rack and pinion. So from just by eye, what I can tell, it looks okay as far as the tie rod end and all that goes. I think all the shock just went to the steering gear and just popped the housing. So anyway, that's it for part 2. Part 3, I guess I'm going to pretty much be going back together with the timing cover, or the timing cover, wow, water pump, timing belt, and all that jazz, putting all that stuff back together. Also got a serpentine belt, new serpentine belt is going to go on here too. The other pulleys seem fine for the serpentine belt. But yeah, that's it for now. Moving on, getting on along, so alright. See you on part 3.